Hi, very good afternoon to you. It's Gene from Maverickstar Observatory. Just want to go over, some of the fundamentals, which is at some point going to affect all our future. And all I can say about this is that the science is here, in front of you, and all you need to do now is act on it. If you agree with the science, then you should be acting on this right now. Before we get into this, I think it's nice to say that we've had a couple more people chip in a few bucks over the last few days. I just think it's really nice to say, and I just want to say a huge thanks to those people that support the observatory and the work that we've done to date. We've been doing this now nearly 10 years, and we are getting closer, I believe, to a point in time where things are going to take a turn for the worst. We're not far from that. But, I just want to say a big thanks to those people that have been supporting us. And, at the end of the video, I'll mention the link down there. And if you want to help, there is a donation link there for you to do so. So let's just look at some of the science then that is already established. We know that a grand solar minimum is in effect, which means that there is a lower than usual sun output of solar sunspots. We know that this has been following a trend now for the last 3 solar cycles, or thereabouts 33 years. And that in turn leads to a shrinkage of the heliosphere, which is like our Earth's magnetosphere, only on a bigger scale. It covers the entire solar system. And when the heliosphere shrinks, you guessed it, we get more cosmic rays entering our solar system. And then if at the same time we have a magnetic pole reversal, then our magnetosphere is weakened. So not only do we get extra cosmic rays because of the weakened heliosphere that protects our solar system, but we also have, a compounding effect with cosmic rays due to the weakened magnetosphere. And we know what this is causing. It's causing, the dramatic changes to our climate and our planet. And there's even more worse news to come than just what we're looking at here with the heliosphere shrinking and the magnetosphere weakening on our planet, allowing these cosmic rays in which, inevitably affect our climate through the modified jet streams that we're seeing now. But we're also going back into another glacial period. I just want to show you that chart. Again, more undeniable facts. You can see where we are on the right hand side of this scale, and you know what comes next. It's happened 5 times on this, and it goes back, many millions of years. This is something that our Earth regularly does so, and does so almost like clockwork. You can see every 100,000 years we go back into a glacial period. So we've got changing jet streams taking place, modifying the climate, and then to boot we're going to have the northern hemisphere cool a lot more dramatically than what is expected. And now if we look at the glacial records over at the Antarctic, what you'll see is there's probably about 13 million extra square miles of ice over there that is not being reported on. And means we do have CO2 on this chart, they're not reporting on the drop in CO2 either. We are faced with having to fight through, several layers of corruption to get, the facts out to people, because, in some of these organisations, the level of corruption and lies is almost not believable. I mean, we've heard and seen Michael Mann's hockey stick temperature charts. We've seen them cherry pick these temperatures going back only 100 years, when climate has been taking place for millions of years on our planet. Why wouldn't you use a longer climate period, or a chart that goes back longer? Because they admit the information relating to the medieval warm period. What was it that drove temperatures up to the medieval warm period? Well, it can't have been, the Industrial Revolution, which took place in the 1760s, because that happened many years after the medieval warm period. It weren't CO2 then, and it's not CO2 now. You can clearly see on this chart that temperature goes up before CO2, and CO2 is the cart that follows the horse, and the horse in this case is temperature. But what I want to point out more than anything to you guys and bring to your awareness is that this is happening right now. You know, we are probably 6,000 to 8,000 years already returning back into a glacial period, and we don't know, because of the lack of research to hand. We don't know whether we pass a thermocline or not, and if there is such thing as a thermocline that we pass, then the temperatures will drop on the northern hemisphere of this planet dramatically, and it won't be like some scientists say 1,000 years away. That thermocline could come in as short a space of time as a year, and we are heading towards it right now, and this chart and hundreds of other charts like this show it. But you won't see this on mainstream media, and the reason for that is because not one of the countries in the world have taken on board the severity of this alone and tried to do something about it, which means the continuity of our species is massively at risk of possibly becoming extinct. And you know what? You might scratch your head and think, never in a million years, Gene. But it was never in a million years for the animals that have already been extinct on this planet. You know, we have seen our neighbouring planet lose its magnetosphere, its atmosphere and its water on the planet. I'm talking about Mars. We know it had a magnetosphere. You know, we have the information, we've collected the scientific data, we know that that was the case. I just cringe sometimes at the thought that we have gone an extra 500,000 years overdue a magnetic pole reversal. And the reason why I cringe about that is because something could be slowing down in our core of the Earth, like has been reported already this year by the Californian professors. They said that the internal core mechanism is slowing down. All these things are really taking place. You know, we don't really need to concern ourselves too much with the other things that are going on in our world, which is just as equally as bad. You know, like, you know, the Biden administration printing up more trillions of pounds, which is going to lead to inflation. And I have some anxieties about that. I really do. Because what we're seeing is an economic problem globally, whereas these things used to be related to countries. Now we're seeing them on a global scale. It is more reason for you guys that are still in cities to seriously start thinking about some of these events, because none of these events are made up. We don't need to create anything. It is what it is, and we will be faced with having to deal with this. And you know, we can't do nothing about these corrupt governments that have got it completely wrong, that are heading off in the wrong direction, you know, with their wind power generators and their solar panels that can't keep up with demands, and then the pushing of, you know, EVs, electric vehicles for people to use, and when, you know, there's a big demand on the grid, they tell people not to charge the cars up. It's getting out of hand, and the cities are going to be the worst places for you if you are caught up at that time in one of those cities. So, you know, I really would like to encourage you to seriously think about some of the things we've talked about in this video, and some of the charts you've looked at. do yourself a little bit of research. If you're really concerned about, you need to make dramatic steps to avoid some of the consequences down the road, then do it. Invest a little bit of time. You'll find I'm on the ball. Like a lot of other people have already said, you know what, Jim, you couldn't be any more accurate than what you are already. We've been doing this 10 years now. We've been following the migration of the magnetic North Pole with our own equipment at this observatory for the last 4.5, 5 years. We've been telling people that things shouldn't be taken granted for on our planet, that there are big changes that we are going to face, but this isn't like it's the first time it's ever happened. There is a historical record showing that these things happen, like what we see here, every 100,000 years, like clockwork. But as well as I know, there has been no preparations on any reasonable scale to ensure human continuity. We have 8 billion souls on this planet, and it's just getting out of control, the level of corruption. And it seems to me that people just, these people that are in control and they are running, things, that they just don't care anymore. It's like we have left psychopaths in charge of our destiny, sorry. You wouldn't let an alcoholic, highly intoxicated, drive your kids to school. There wouldn't be an airline company in the world that would let, a prolific abuser of drugs, take that plane full of passengers and flight to another destination. These things are common sense. I just don't understand why there has been nothing on any significant level to ensure human continuity. That there is a level of strategic plans put in place ready to initiate when these things start to happen on a more prolific scale, because we're getting close to that point. And we run lots of risks, and I really believe if you if you can get yourselves out of those cities, I know it's not easy, but if you can, and just accept a more simpler lifestyle, I'm sure that you'll benefit from that, as opposed to staying there and going down with the city, because that is going to be inevitable for millions of people. So, you owe it to yourselves to seriously, think about some of these things. And then what must come naturally after that is actions. You've got to start taking actions, because how many times have I brought it to your attention, what that person said that just experienced, flash floods that washed everything away. They didn't expect it to ever occur, or let alone to them. This is the most famous words that people say in these situations. The earthquake that just happened, the house that was built in the path of, a volcanic mountain that erupted. Sometimes things can be done to avoid these horrible situations, and I really want to push that home to you guys. There is always something you can do. No matter what situation you're in, there is always something you can do, and you should be thinking about that, because it's your loved ones. I can give you the information, but I can't make you act. That comes from your side. So I'm going to leave it here, guys. There is a link down there, and I just want to thank those that have been supporting us over the last few days. There is only one other thing to say, and that is take care of your loved ones. As always, bye for now.